Alright, welcome in. This is the channel where we go digging through the internet's driveways so you don't have to. Pulling real listings apart to figure out if they're a deal or a disaster wearing a fresh coat of wax. Some days we find diamonds, most days we find somebody's regret with a price tag on it. Today we've got 20 of them lined up. Let's start with something with some serious presence. So, 1963 Chrysler Imperial Crown Convertible, $12,500. And honestly, my first reaction is that price is low, and that's exactly why I lean in closer, not away. A top-of-the-line Imperial ragtop for the price of a rough Miata makes the hair on my neck stand up a little. Now the listing itself actually reads well, which is refreshing. Cord blue over black leather, black top, the 413 Wedge V8, push-button torque flight. That's all correct period, correct spec for a 63 Crown. Nobody's making that up. And the work listed is the right work. Rebuilt trans, rebuilt carb, new master cylinder, tires, top hoses and cylinders, battery. That's not lipstick. That's the boring, expensive stuff that people usually skip. Whoever did this spent money in the places that actually matter on an old Mopar. Here's where I raise an eyebrow though, that odometer. 1,000 miles. On a 63-year-old car, that reads as rolled over or we stopped counting, not literal. 5-digit odometers don't hold 6 decades of driving. Not a scam flag, just don't buy this thinking it's a 1,000-mile time capsule. The 413 is a genuinely stout engine, torque for days, and parts are out there. Watch for the usual old Chrysler stuff. Brake booster and the push-button shifter cable getting cranky, cooling system, and every power gadget, windows, seat, top, is one more thing that can quit. He says they all work. In person, I'm testing every single one. He also says 1 of 531 produced. If that checks out, 12.5 is genuinely under market. Clean 63 Crown Verts live in the high teens to 20s. Verdict: buy after inspection. Get a Mopar guy to confirm numbers and cycle every power option before money moves. If it's what he says, this one's a steal. 2. Alright, let's roll out of that big Chrysler and go look at something almost nobody remembers exists, which is exactly the point. 1978 AMC Matador Barcelona Coupe, $10,500. My gut on the price. That's real money for a Matador. But this isn't a base Matador, and you're paying for rarity and honesty as much as the car. Let me explain. First off, I love this listing, and I want to warn you because I love it. This is written by a consignment guy selling for a collector, and he's a good writer. Yacht from a dock. Lazy boy sofa. Golden gun references. That prose is doing work on your wallet. So let's strip the poetry off and read what's actually there, because underneath the charm he's being pretty straight with us. What supports the price? The Barcelona was the loaded top trim, 362-barrel V8, the numbers matching plush interior, and he says it's genuinely rust-free underneath, which for a Carolina car is believable. Fluids done, new tires, fuel filter, safety checked coming into the collection. That's a cared-for car. Now the honest defect list, and credit to him for listing it. Exhaust manifold gasket leak on the right side, classic AMC V8, the manifold bolts back out and gaskets fail. Annoying but cheap. A C's dead. Cruise is dead. Maybe vacuum. The dash is warped from that protective pad, which is almost funny. And the weird one, a rot hole through the rear bumper on an otherwise rust-free car. That's oddly specific, so I believe it, but a re-chromed or repro bumper for a Matador is not a rock auto click. That's a hunt. Here's the real risk with any orphan mark: parts. Nash, Studebaker, AMC, when something breaks, you're on forums and swap meets, not Amazon Prime. Buy this knowing that. Is it worth it? For a rust-free, running, genuinely rare loaded Barcelona, 10.5 is fair, maybe slightly high given the AC, cruise, and bumper. I'd offer $9,000, point at that exact list to justify it, and see him blink. Verdict: buy after inspection, confirm the floors and frame yourself, cycle everything, and go in at 9. Cool car, clear eyes. 3. Alright, let's peel out of that AMC and go somewhere with a lot more attitude. This next one thinks it's on a superspeedway. 1960 Pontiac Catalina Bubble Top, NASCAR Tribute, $18,000. First reaction? That's a strong ask. But a real 60 Bubble Top is a genuinely desirable car, and this seller is being unusually honest, so let's actually work through it. Good news up front. This listing reads like a guy who knows the car and isn't hiding. He tells you it's a 7 out of 10 driver, straight up, and specifically says if you want a Barrett Jackson car, keep scrolling. I respect that. When a seller volunteers the flaws he lists are usually the whole story, not the tip of it. What supports the price? Solid floors and trunk, freshly POR 15'd, sound deadener, new carpet, new exhaust, and a real mechanical freshening. Pertronix ignition, new coil, ignition switch, alternator, battery, plus fluid/filter/pan gasket on the original Torque Flight. Well, on the Pontiac Super Hydromatic. But point is, the trans got serviced. That 389 with an Edelbrock intake, 4-barrel and headers is a good running combo. And he says great oil pressure, no smoke, never overheats. That's the stuff that costs real money to fix, and it's already done. Now the honest gaps: speedo doesn't work, wipers don't work, radio's dead. Individually minor, but a dead speedo means you can't verify that 80,000 miles. Treat the odometer as decoration. There's a dent on the trunk lid, a bubble or two on the hood. He calls it paint, not rot. I'd confirm that with a magnet in person, and it's driver paint with chips. The real thing to understand, this is a tribute, not a real Fireball Roberts car, and the decals are vinyl. That's fine, but it means the value is cool restored driver Catalina, not documented race history. Don't pay a history premium for stickers. Known stuff on these. The Super Hydromatic can be pricey if it ever acts up, and body/trim chrome for a 60 Bubble Top is expensive and slow to source. So those nice shape bumpers are worth confirming. Is $18,000 fair? For a solid, sorted bubble top driver, it's at the top end, but not crazy. Clean ones run high teens to low 20s. I'd go in around $15,500, $16,000, pointing at the wipers, speedo, dead radio, and the hood bubble as leverage. Verdict: buy after inspection. Magnet the hood and trunk, confirm the floors under that fresh POR 15, and drive it. Honest driver at a top of market price. Get it closer to 16 and it's a good buy. 4. Alright, let's roll away from that shiny bubble top and go look at something a lot more honest about what it is, and a lot cheaper. 1971 Chevrolet Malibu sedan, $9,000. Gut reaction. For a 4-door 307 with a power glide and rust you can see from the listing, that's optimistic. Let me walk through why. The listing's short and, to the seller's credit, blunt. He's not selling you a dream. Runs and drives really good, and then a genuinely useful list of what's new. And it is a real list. New gas tank and fuel lines, new battery, new front chassis components, new wiper motor, new brake booster, and a full front disc conversion. Rebuilt Rochester 2-barrel, new air cleaner, new 15x8 rallies and tires. That's a lot of the boring money-eating stuff already handled, and disc brakes up front on a car that came with drums is a nice touch. Here's the honest part he also says out loud. Does have some rust on body. We'll need a trunk pan and a front floor pan. Respect the honesty, but understand what that sentence costs. Trunk pan and front floor pan means you're cutting metal and welding, and when a car needs both, the rust is rarely done there. I'd bet the trunk drops feed the rear frame rails, so in person, I'm crawling underneath and hitting the rockers, lower quarters, and rails with a screwdriver. What he didn't mention is the frame condition, and on a rotted floor GMA body, that's the whole ball game. Then that odometer, 14,800 on a 71. That's almost certainly 114,800 or a rolled over 5-digit gauge. Not a scam, just don't read it as a low-mile car. Let's be real about the drivetrain too. 307 small block and a 2-speed power glide is the economy combo, not a performance one. Dependable, torquey enough, but nobody's paying a premium for it, and it's a 4-door sedan, which the market values well below the 2-door for the same year. So what's it worth? A rust-needy 4-door 307A body, even a running one with fresh brakes and fuel system, is more of a $5,000, $6,500 car in most markets. $9,000 is post-bodywork money, and this needs bodywork. I'd open around $5,500. Point right at the 2 pans and the unknown frame. Verdict? Run. Unless the price drops hard or the frame comes back clean. Get it under 6 with a solid underside and it's a fun driver project. At 9, you're paying finished car money for a welding bill. 5. Alright, from a rusty Malibu straight into something Miami coughed up. Buckle up for this one. 1968 Ford Mustang Coupe, $10,950. And right there in the listing, in plain caps, is the reason my gut just clenched. Flooded car, engine do not run. Salvage title, salvage condition. Nearly $11,000 for a car that literally does not start. Let's talk. Give the seller this much, he's not hiding a single thing. Salvage title, salvage condition, flooded, dead engine, odometer rolled over, cash only, must sell. There's no seller speak to translate here because there's no spin at all. That's honest. And it's also a giant flashing warning sign. When a listing is this stripped down, no runs great, no photos of a clean interior, no service story. The silence is the story. Let me read what's actually useful. VIN 8F01C216000, and he flags it as a C code. That's correct decoding. The C is the 2892-barrel V8. The 8F01 tells us 68, Dearborn-built standard coupe. So this is a real V8 car, not a 6-cylinder with a badge. That matters, because the coupe is the cheap Mustang and a genuine V8 helps. But it's a base 289 coupe, not a fastback, not a GT, not a K code. No premium here. Now the part that should scare you, flood car. Water doesn't just kill the engine, it rots the floors, the torque boxes, the frame rails, the trunk drops, gets into every wiring harness, the gauges, every connector. And this is Miami. Salt air, humidity, and if that flood was salt water or brackish, the corrosion is still eating the car right now. A dead flood engine likely means seized, hydro-locked, or full of rust. Budget a full rebuild or a replacement $289, plus a wiring harness, plus whatever the floors need. So what's it actually worth? A salvage title, flooded, non-running base coupe is a parts and shell car. Realistically, $3,000, $5,000 territory. And that's if the sheet metal is savable. You're buying a project where nearly everything mechanical and electrical is suspect. Verdict: run. At $3,000 as a restoration shell with a straight body maybe. At $10,950 for a flooded, salvage, dead engine coupe, this is finished driver money for a boat anchor. Hard pass. 6. All right, let's leave that Miami heartbreak behind and go somewhere drier. Vegas, with a proper piece of post-war Ford history. 1953 Ford Crestline convertible, $17,800. Gut reaction: for a real flathead V8 Sunliner ragtop that runs and drives, that's actually a fair to reasonable ask, assuming it's as clean as the caps lock says. This one's the opposite problem from the last car. The flood Mustang told us everything. This dealer tells us almost nothing. Let me read what's here. It's a dealer listing. Sanders Auto Sales out of Lincoln, Nebraska, listed in Vegas, offering shipping quotes. That's not a red flag by itself, but it changes how I read it. Dealers write short, punchy ads. Great condition inside and out. Runs and drive great. That's the whole description. No service history, no ownership story. No photos of the underside. No mention of what's been rebuilt or replaced. When a seller says great condition 3 ways and gives you 0 specifics, that's not lying, it's just not information. The gaps are the work you do in person. Good news in the details. It's a 53 Crestline convertible, the Sunliner, with the flathead 5.8 and 3 on the tree manual. That's period correct and desirable. The Flathead's a legendary engine, and this was Ford's 50th anniversary year, so these have a following. The VIN starts B3, which fits a 53 Ford, so the bones of the story check out. Now what to actually worry about? The Flathead V8 is charming, but it runs hot. Cooling system is the Flathead's Achilles heel. So water pumps, the block passages, and the radiator are the first things I'm checking. And I want to watch the temp gauge on a real drive, not a 5-minute idle. These are also 70-plus-year-old cars, so I care most about the stuff a dealer photo won't show. Floor pans, the convertible top mechanism and frame, the wood/body mounting areas, and whether that 58,000 miles is 58K or 158KO. With no documentation, treat it as unverified. What's it worth? Driver quality 53 Sunliners run roughly the mid-teens to low 20s depending on how honest that great condition really is. So $17,800 is right in the fairway if it inspects clean. No trades, no payments tells me he's firmish, but I'd still push towards $16,000 citing the total lack of documentation and shipping cost. Verdict: buy after inspection and inspect hard in person or with a paid third party. Confirm the Flathead doesn't overheat, check the floors and top frame, verify the VIN and title match. Fair price on paper, just don't buy those all-caps adjectives sight unseen. 7. All right, let's cruise out of Vegas and head to Orange County for something a whole lot humbler, and honestly kind of charming. 1961, Ford Falcon sedan, $11,500. Gut reaction, for an all-original slant. Well, inline 6 economy Falcon, that's a strong number, and I want to see why before I nod along. This listing is short and sweet, and I actually like the honesty of it. 144 engine, 2-speed auto, all original, runs great, 22 miles per gallon. Granny says has to go. No essay, no spin. That last line tells you the whole ownership story. This was Grandma's car, and that's usually a good sign. Little old lady cars tend to be low drama, garaged and not beaten on. And currently registered in California is genuinely useful, because it means it's been kept up and it's smog exempt, pre-76, so no emissions headache. Now let's read what's really here. The 144 cubic inch inline 6 is the smallest engine Ford put in the Falcon. It's the base economy motor, making somewhere around 85 horsepower when new. Paired with the 2-speed Ford-O-Matic, this is a slow, honest little commuter, not a hot rod. The upside: these are dead simple, bulletproof, and cheap to fix. The 22 miles per gallon claim is totally believable. The downside: nobody's paying muscle car money for a 144, and that caps the value. What's missing from the listing matters here. No mention of rust, though an OC/California car with original paint has a good shot at being solid, so I'm checking floors and lower fenders anyway. No interior details, no photos referenced, no word on brakes, drums all around, and 60-plus-year-old drum systems are the first thing I'd want gone through. All original is charming, but also means original everything, including a 60-year-old fuel system, wiring, and single-circuit master cylinder. Realistic mileage of 101,777 is believable for a survivor and reads honest, no rollover games there. So what's it worth? An all-original, running, registered 61 Falcon sedan is a lovely thing, but it's a base 6 4-door C. That's a $7,000, $9,000 car in most markets, with clean drivers occasionally nudging into the low 10s. $11,500 is top dollar for the body style and engine. I'd open around $8,500 and let Granny says it has to go do the negotiating for me. Motivated seller energy. Verdict: buy after inspection, but only at the right price. Check the floors, go through the brakes, confirm it's truly rust-free. Great little first classic, just get it closer to 9 than 12. 8. All right, let's leave Orange County and head up to Spokane for something you almost never see in this condition. A little grocery getter with a road trip resume. 1964, Dodge Dart Wagon, $14,000. Gut reaction: that's a real number for a slant 6 wagon, but this is a genuine sorted survivor with receipts baked right into the story, so let's actually walk it. I like this seller a lot, and here's why. He's not selling you adjectives, he's selling you evidence. Third owner, bought in California in 2020, and instead of runs great, he tells you exactly what a vintage Mopar mechanic did. Wheel and axle bearings, differential rebuild, transmission service, all new hoses and belts, new brakes, new shocks. That's the entire dry rot after sitting checklist done correctly. Then the kicker, he drove it solo from Santa Cruz to Montana, over Donner Pass at 70, no problems. That's not a claim. That's a road test longer than most people's whole ownership. A car that crosses the Sierra in summer without drama has a cooling system and a drivetrain that actually work. Let me translate the good stuff. 6-cylinder in a 64 Dart means the 225 slant 6. The legendary Leaning Tower of Power, one of the most bulletproof engines Chrysler ever built, mated to the push-button Torque Flight, which is equally tough. This is the reliable combo and parts are cheap and everywhere. Original glass still has its fender tag, huge for verifying options and originality, and he throws in spare tail light lens, grille, and other parts. That's a caretaker, not a flipper. Now, what would I still check? That odometer reads 10,058 Ds. On a Survivor that's been cross-country, that's a rolled-over 5-digit gauge, so call it unverified, not low mile. He swapped the original 13-inch rims for 14 SE minor. But if you're an originality nut, know the correct wheels didn't come with it. And wagon plus slant 6 is the value ceiling here. These aren't muscle cars, they're beloved but affordable survivors. Rust is my only real in-person worry, and a California car that's now in Montana should be checked at the floors and tailgate. What's it worth? A truly sorted drive-anywhere 64 Dart wagon Survivor with documentation is a $11,000 to $14,000 car depending on condition. Wagons have actually gained a following, so 14 is top of the range, but defensible if the photos and body back it up. I'd offer $12,500 and see if the spare parts stash sweetens it. Verdict: buy after inspection. And this is the kind of car I'd actually be excited to inspect. Confirm the floors and the fender tag. Verify it drives like he says, and you've got a reliable classic you can genuinely daily. Honest seller. Honest car. 9. Alright, let's roll down to Seattle for a car that's a truck. Or a truck that's a car. And one that comes with something we almost never see. A paper trail. 1965 Chevrolet El Camino. $11,950. Gut reaction: for a numbers-matching, 4-speed, freshly rebuilt small block El Camino that drives, that's actually a sane number, maybe even a good one, depending on how rough that body really is. Let's dig in. Here's what makes this listing stand out. The seller leads with receipts. Thousands and thousands reorganized chronologically in several file folders. That's not seller speak. That's a guy handing you the car's medical history. And the itemized list backs it up. Rebuilt 283, new brakes with steel and rubber lines, rebuilt carb. He even names the shop, Carb Connection in Redmond, and the price. New tires, fresh alignment, new Hurst shifter with the stock Muncie one included, Hotchkiss and Moog suspension, new ball joints, coil springs, track bar. When a seller names shops, dates, and dollar amounts, that's the most credible kind of listing there is. Now let's translate the drivetrain, because this is the good part. Numbers matching 283 with the power pack heads and 4-barrel 220 horse, backed by a Muncie 4-speed. That's a desirable, correct, sporty combo for a 65, and numbers matching with the owner's manual and Protecto plate present is a real originality bonus. The Protecto plate especially is a documentation piece collectors care about. He's also refreshingly honest about the catch. Obviously the car needs body and paint. He's not hiding it. He's leaning into the hot rod patina angle. That's the whole deal here. You're buying excellent mechanicals under a rough skin. So my in-person job flips from usual. The drivetrain sounds sorted, so I'm crawling the body, floors, bed, cab corners, the lower doors and fenders, because needs paint and has rust holes are two very different budgets, and the listing doesn't say which. Patina. That's just faded paint is cool. Patina that's rusting through is a bodywork bill. One tiny flag. Some receipts are dated June 2026. That's this year, so the work is genuinely fresh, just noting it's very recent. What's it worth? A numbers-matching 4-speed 65 El Camino that runs and drives strong but needs body/paint typically lands $11,000, $15,000, and a nice one finished is well north of that. So $11,950 is fair to good if the body is solid but ugly rather than rotten. I'd offer around $10,500 pending what I find underneath. Verdict: buy after inspection, and this is a promising one. Verify the numbers against the docks, magnet the body, check the floors and bed. If the patina is cosmetic and not structural, this is a lot of documented car for the money. 10. Alright, let's swing down to LA for another orphan brand oddball, and this one might be the sleeper value of the day. 1957. Studebaker President Sedan, $7,500. Gut reaction. For a running, driving, freshened 50s President with new interior and tires, that's cheap. And cheap on an interesting car is exactly when I lean in and start asking why. The listing's short, but it's the good kind of short. Every line is a fact, not fluff. Clean title under my name, original plates, 97,000 miles, runs and drives well. Then the useful part. He had the original paint clear-coated, the interior is new, tires are new, and all the chrome and trim are in great shape and on the car. That last detail matters more than it sounds. On an orphan like a Studebaker, missing trim is a nightmare to source, so "it's all here" is genuinely valuable. Original California plates, black plate, is a nice authenticity touch too. Now let me be honest about what's not said, because the price gap makes me want to know. No mention of what engine work's been done, no service history on the mechanicals, no word on brakes, and runs and drives well is doing a lot of quiet lifting with no specifics behind it. The 57 President ran Studebaker's 289 V80 Yuan good torquey engine, but this is 70 years old, and the listing tells us nothing about whether the cooling system, brakes, or fuel system have been touched. That silence is the work you inspect for. Here's the real thing to understand with any Studebaker: parts. The company died in '66, and while the engine internals and a lot of mechanical bits are surprisingly available through the Studebaker vendor network, body panels and model-specific trim are a scavenger hunt. So the fact that the chrome and trim are all present isn't a footnote. It's part of what you're buying. The odometer at 97,000 reads believable and honest. No rollover games, though with zero documentation I'd still call it unverified. What's it worth? Here's the deal with Studebakers. They're wonderful, well-engineered cars that the market just doesn't reward with big prices. A running, driving, freshened President sedan is realistically a $7,000, $11,000 car. And honestly, at $7,500 with new interior, new tires, fresh clear coat, and all its trim, he's already priced it right, maybe even under. There's not much fat to cut here. I'd offer $6,800, but I wouldn't be shocked if he barely budges because the number's already fair. Verdict: buy after inspection. Confirm the brakes and cooling system actually work as well as runs and drives well implies. Check the floors and verify that fresh clear coat isn't hiding filler. If the mechanicals are sorted, this is a lot of unique, fully trimmed classic for not much money. Goodbye. 11. Alright, let's roll up to the Bay Area for a big Mercury that not many people remember and figure out if excellent holds up. 1967 Mercury Park Lane Sedan, $17,800. Gut reaction. That's an ambitious number for a four-door full-size Mercury, and I need the details to earn it. So let's see if they do. Here's what I like right away. This seller deals in facts and invoices. Professional full-engine rebuild in January 2017 and have all the invoices. Current mileage on new engine is only 6,378. That's specific, verifiable, and exactly the kind of thing that separates a real listing from a hopeful one. A documented rebuild with under 6,400 miles on it means the most expensive mechanical component is essentially new and barely broken in. Currently registered, clean title, and he says the invoices exist, I'd want to actually see those folders, but that's a strong start. Let me translate the drivetrain. A 67 Park Lane is Mercury's top-tier full-size car, and it would have come with a big block MI, most likely the 410 or 428 FE Series V8. Those are torquey, smooth highway engines, and the listing doesn't specify which. So that's my first question in person, because a numbers-matching original engine versus a swapped one changes the story. Pretty much all original, with 70,890 original miles, reads believable and honest for a survivor, and it lines up with a car that only needed a rebuild recently. Now, the honesty I appreciate. A little rust on the hood. He's not pretending it's flawless. But excellent condition and rust on the hood are slightly at odds, so that tells me to check whether that hood rust is a lonely surface spot or the visible edge of a bigger story. Cowl, floors, lower fenders, trunk. What's missing is any word on the interior, the brakes, or suspension. So those are inspection items, not assumptions. Here's the market reality, and it's the whole ballgame on price. Full-size four-door sedans from this era just don't command big money. They're beautiful, comfortable land yachts, but the four-door body style caps the value hard. A running, freshly rebuilt, mostly original Park Lane sedan is realistically a $9,000, $13,000 car in most markets. The rebuild and low miles push it toward the top of that, but $17,800 is convertible or coupe money on a sedan. That's my leverage. I'd open around $12,000, invoices in hand, and point straight at the body style and that hood rust. Verdict: buy after inspection, but only at a big correction on price. Verify the engine invoices and which big block it is, run the rust down beyond the hood, and drive it. Lovely, comfortable, well-documented cruiser, just not an 18 grand one. Get it near 12, and it's a fair deal. 12. Alright, we saw a dart wagon up in Spokane earlier. Now here's its flashier cousin down in Sacramento, top chopped off and a V8 up front. Let's see if it's the better buy. 1964 Dodge Dart GT convertible, $13,500. Gut reaction: for a V8 GT ragtop that's been gone through, that's a fair number. Convertibles and the GT trim carry real premium over that wagon we looked at, so this one earns a closer look. The listing's clean and fact-driven, which I like. Second owner, and then a genuinely useful repair list. Entire fuel system done. New tank, line, pump, carb, filter, belts, plus remanufactured starter, new alternator, battery, tune-up, new tires and alignment. That's the whole sat for a while, now sorted it checklist. And it's the right work. A fresh fuel system top to bottom means you're not chasing varnished tank gremlins, which is exactly what kills the fun on a car that's been parked. Let me translate the good stuff. This is the GT, the sporty top trim, as a convertible with the 273 V8 and a 3-speed manual on the column. He says the 273's been rebuilt with 30,000 miles on it. The 273 is a sweet little LA Series small block, smooth and torquey enough, and genuinely more desirable than the Slant 6 in a car like this. 50th anniversary is a nod to Dodge's 1964 anniversary trim touches. So the recipe here, GT, V8, convertible, manual, is the good combination, the one people actually want. Now the honesty flag, and credit where it's due. He literally states odometer rolled over, so that 20,300 is a 5-digit gauge that's been around at least once. No games, he's telling you straight. Just don't read it as low mileage. What's not said is the usual. No word on body or rust, no floor or underside detail, and convertible top excellent condition is great, but I still want to see the top frame and the floors, because rag tops let water in and darts can rot pans. No interior description either. Those are my in-person items. Known stuff. The 273's fine, but check the cooling system and that column shift 3-speed linkage, which can get sloppy. And on any convertible, the body flexes more, so I care extra about solid floors and torque boxes. What's it worth? A sorted, running 64 Dart GT V8 convertible is realistically a $12,000, $16,000 car, depending on body and cosmetics. The GT/V8/Vert combo holds value far better than a base 6. So $13,500 is fair, sitting right in the fairway. I'd offer $12,000, pointing at the unverified miles and the fact that I still need to confirm the body. Verdict: buy after inspection. Confirm the floors, torque boxes, and top frame. Verify the rebuild story if he's got paper, and drive it. This is the desirable version of that Dart, priced honestly. Goodbye if the body backs it up. 13. All right, from that sorted little Dart convertible to the exact opposite, a Corvette in pieces, sitting on the garage floor. Let's talk about what project really means here. 1979 Chevrolet Corvette C3 T-Top, $6,900. Gut reaction. For a C3 with a freshly rebuilt 3.8 three-stroker and no rust, that number looks cheap until you read the two words that change everything. Drivetrain, uninstalled. This isn't a running Corvette. It's a Corvette and an engine, sitting next to each other. Let me give the seller real credit, because this is one of the most honest, detailed listings we've seen all episode. He's not pretending it runs. He lays out exactly what's done, what's included down to the flex plate bolts and ARP hardware, and precisely what it needs to fire. Drop the drivetrain in, add a trans yoke, a battery, fluids, and assembly hardware. He'll even use his own hoist to set the engine and trans on the mounts so you can trailer it home as a rolling mock-up. That's a guy who knows exactly what he has and isn't blowing smoke. Now let's translate what's actually valuable. The 383 Stroker, a punched and stroked small block Chevy with an Edelbrock Performer intake and carb, distributor, alternator, fuel pump, only 2,003 miles on a shop-built engine is genuinely good money on its own. A fresh 383 like that is easily a couple grand of engine right there. Plus the turbo 350 trans, the aluminum radiator, 2 sets of headers, and a box of new hardware. Part it all out, and you're not far from the asking price in components alone. Here's the catch, and it's a big one for the value story. A 1979 C3 is the cheap Corvette. Smog era, the desirability is at the bottom of the Corvette range, and a finished driver quality 79 is only a $10,000, $14,000 car. So you can't stroker swap your way to big money here. You'll build a fast, cool car, but not a valuable one. Build it because you want to drive it, not to flip it. The real risk is the part he can't sell you, your own labor. Drop it in is 4 words hiding a weekend eating job: wiring, plumbing, cooling, exhaust mating, drive shaft, alignment, sorting. And that re-spray with fiberglass stress lines near the door handles is normal for a C3 but confirm no prior crash damage in the glass. What's it worth? Honestly, as a pile of good parts on a solid rolling C3 shell with a clean AZ title, $6,900 is fair to good if the 383 checks out and the body's straight. The parts alone justify most of it. I'd offer $5,800, but I wouldn't push hard. This one's priced right for what it is. Verdict: buy after inspection. If you're a builder, not if you want to drive it home. Verify the 383's build receipt from that shop, inspect the fiberglass for prior repairs, and go in clear-eyed that you're buying a project, not a Corvette. Good bones, honest seller, fair price for a wrench turner. 14. All right, let's cruise down to San Diego for the one everybody recognizes, the 57 Chevy. But read the fine print, because the body style and a couple details really matter on this one. 1957 Chevrolet Bel Air, $20,000. Gut reaction: 20 grand is a lot of money. And the very first thing I clock is that it's a 4-door sedan. Hold that thought, because it's the whole story on price. Let me give the seller credit first. This is a thorough, enthusiast-written listing. He's testing the waters, lists the VIN, and rattles off options like a guy who genuinely knows and loves the car. Matador Red over Ivory, the 283 Super Turbo Firepower Pack with the 4-barrel dual exhaust and power pack heads. That's a desirable, correct engine setup for a 57. Then the option list is legit gold for a collector. Factory Harrison AC, power steering, brakes, windows, seat, Wonderbar radio, Autronic, well, the courtesy lighting, Deluxe Hamilton clock, dash compass. Factory air on a 57 is genuinely rare and adds real value, so the content of the car is strong. Now let me flag the two things that need translating. First, odometer rolled over is right there, and he still writes 121,000 original miles. Those two statements fight each other a little. I read it as 121K being his honest belief, but the gauge has been around, so treat it as unverified. Second, and bigger, that TurboGlide transmission. He says it's fully operational and, this is clever, under a lifetime warranty contract with AAMCO. Here's why that matters. The TurboGlide was Chevy's problem child automatic, complex and disliked even when new, and lots of these got swapped to Powerglides decades ago. A working one with a transferable warranty is actually a selling point, but confirm that warranty transfers to you in writing, because that's a chunk of the pitch. What's not here is just as important. No mention of rust, floors, or bodywork, and no photos referenced. On a 68-year-old car, good condition with zero body detail means the underside is entirely an inspection question. Floors, trunk, rockers, cowl. Here's the market reality that governs everything. It's a 4-door. Tri-5 values are heavily skewed to 2-door hardtops and convertibles. A nice 4-door Bel Air sedan, even loaded with factory air and the power pack, is realistically a $14,000, $19,000 car. The options and AC push it to the top of that, but $20,000 is 2-door optimism on a 4-door body. That said, the factory air power pack combo is genuinely desirable, so it's not crazy, just high. I'd offer around $16,000, leaning on the 4-door body style, the rolled-over odometer, and the need to verify that TurboGlide warranty transfers. Verdict: buy after inspection. A well-optioned, honest 57 is a lovely thing. Confirm the floors and rockers, verify the AC actually blows cold and the warranty transfers, and get it into the mid-teens. At 16, it's a fair deal. At 20, you're paying for a badge the 4 doors don't quite support. 15. All right, after that 20 grand Bel Air, here's a palate cleanser, the cheapest car of the whole episode and about the shortest listing you'll ever read. 1973 Pontiac Grand Prix Coupe, $2,500. Gut reaction. For a running, well, non-running project, that's cheap car territory, and at this price the question isn't, is it perfect? It's, is it worth saving? Let's look. The entire listing is 4 sentences. Last ran 2 years ago, some extra parts, engine rotates, project car, and honestly, I don't hate that. There's zero spin here. The guy is telling you exactly what this is, a parked project, and pricing it accordingly. Nobody's calling this a survivor or dressing up runs great. When a seller writes this little and prices this low, they usually just want it gone. Let me translate the 2 details that actually matter. Engine rotates is the single most important thing he said. It means the engine isn't seized, you can turn it over by hand, so the bottom end probably isn't scrap. That's the difference between needs to be recommissioned and needs a new engine. Last ran 2 years ago means it's a wake-it-up job. Fresh fuel, new battery, drain the old gas, probably a carb cleaning, check the brakes hard because 2 years sitting rots wheel cylinders and lines. Standard sitting car recipe. What's the car? A 73 Grand Prix is a big, handsome, Colonnade-era personal luxury coupe. It'd have had a 400 or the 455 V8 under that long hood. The 455 is the one you want. The listing doesn't say which, so that's question number 1, because it changes both the fun factor and the value. Some extra parts is a nice little bonus but vague, could be trim, could be a spare carb, worth asking. Now the honest risks. The odometer says 41,000, but he flags odometer rolled over, so that's a 5-digit gauge that's been around. Ignore the low number. And the big one the listing is silent on: rust and completeness. These colonnade GPs can rot in the rear frame rails, floors, and lower quarters, and body/trim for them isn't as easy to find as an A body. Project car with no body detail means you inspect for rust and confirm it's actually complete. Missing trim and interior bits on these can cost more than the car. What's it worth? Honestly, at $2,500 for a complete, non-seized, clean title colonnade coupe, that's already a fair-to-good project price. There's not much to haggle. I'd offer $2,000 cash, in hand, ready to trailer it today. If it's a 455 car and the body's solid, it's arguably a steal. Verdict? Buy after inspection, if you genuinely want a project and go in eyes open. Confirm which engine, check the frame rails and floors, make sure it's all there. At $2,000, you're not risking much, and a running Grand Prix on the other side is a lot of cool for the money. Just don't mistake cheap for free. The recommissioning and any rust repair is where the real money goes. 16. Alright, back up to the Seattle area for an early Fox body Mustang. And right off the bat, this listing has some contradictions I need to untangle for you. 1980. Ford Mustang Coupe, $6,900. Gut reaction. That's a strong ask for an early Fox body economy coupe. And before we even get to value, let's fix the spec sheet, because the Craigslist attributes are flat wrong. Here's the discrepancy. The listings drop-downs say 4 cylinders and FWD. Both are incorrect. A 1980 Mustang is a rear-wheel drive Fox body. Full stop. Ford never made a front-drive Mustang. And the seller's own text says 3.3 liters, which is the 200 cubic inch inline 6, not a 4. So the description is right and the checkboxes are wrong. Probably just a seller fumbling the menus. Not a scam, but it tells me this person isn't a car guy, which actually colors how I read the rest. Now the parts I like. 2 original owners, always stored in garage, white on red, recent oil and filter service, starts first time. That's a clean little ownership story, and a 2-owner garaged car often means low drama and a solid, unrusted body, which for a Seattle car is worth confirming but plausible. Starts first time is a good sign it's not a dead battery basket case. Here's the honest reality check though. The 3.3L inline 6 with an automatic is the slowest, least desirable drivetrain Ford put in the Fox Mustang. We're talking maybe 90-ish horsepower in a smog-strangled 1980. Nobody's hot-rodding a 206. The whole Fox body performance world revolves around the 5.0 V8, and this isn't one. So this is a survivor curiosity, not a performance car, and that caps value hard. Then the flag that governs the price, odometer broken. The 100,000 reading is meaningless. You cannot verify the miles at all. Combine unverifiable miles with the base 6, and you've got a car whose value rests entirely on how straight and rust-free that body is. What's it worth? An early Fox coupe with the base 6 and a broken odometer is realistically a $3,000, $5,000 car, and that's for a genuinely clean survivor. These have a small, growing following as time capsules, but the 6-cylinder auto is the bottom of the range. $6,900 is optimistic. That's low-mileage V8 money on a base 6 you can't even verify the miles on. I'd open around $4,000, pointing at the broken odometer, the base drivetrain, and the wrong listing specs. Verdict: buy after inspection only at a real correction, otherwise pass. If the body's genuinely rust-free and you want an honest garaged survivor to cruise, get it into the low 4s and it's fair. At $6,900, you're overpaying for a slow 6 with unknown miles. Let the not a car person seller and that broken odometer do your negotiating. 17. Alright, let's finish over in Wenatchee with something completely different. A little British sports coupe that's honest about being a project. 1969 MGM GB-GT, $8,900 OBO. Gut reaction. That's top-of-the-range money for a car the seller himself calls a project, so let's figure out whether the parts and the bones justify it. I genuinely respect this listing. It's a health-forced sale, and instead of hiding behind that, he gives you a straight punch list of everything the car needs. Complete brake job, exhaust work, wiring harness cleanup, and all the normal maintenance caught up with, after storage. When a seller tells you the bad news up front and then says the new parts to fix it are included, That's about as honest as classic car ads get. The Moss brake parts included is a real detail. Moss is the go-to MG supplier, and a full brake kit isn't cheap, so that's value in the box. Let me translate the good stuff. This is the GT, the Pininfarina-designed fastback coupe version of the MGB, which a lot of enthusiasts consider the prettier, more usable body. And it's got the overdrive transmission, which is the desirable option that makes these relaxed and genuinely fun on the highway. Wire wheels, good tires, freshly redone seat covers, custom door panels, and a dash cover. And 160 pounds of compression is him telling you the engine's healthy. That's a solid number across the little B Series 4, which means the expensive part, the motor, is sound. That's the single most reassuring line in the ad. Now the flag that governs everything with a British car, rust. The listing says nothing about the body, and MGB GT's rot, sills, floors, rear wheel arches, the front fenders, and critically the structural sills that this unibody depends on. Been in storage says nothing about whether it was dry storage. So my entire in-person inspection is bodywork. I'm poking sills and floors with a screwdriver because a rusty MGB shell can cost more to fix than the car's worth. The 362 miles with odometer broken is meaningless. Ignore it entirely. Here's the other British car truth: electrical gremlins. He already flags wiring harness cleanup, and Lucas Electrics are famously moody, so budget patience there. The good news is MGBs have possibly the best parts availability of any classic stock. Moss and others stock literally everything cheap. What's it worth? A running MGB-GT with overdrive, good compression, and a box of new parts, but needing brakes, exhaust, and sorting is realistically a $5,000, $8,000 car E, and only toward the top of that if the body's solid. $8,900 is finished driver money on a project, so there's room. He wrote OBO, which is an invitation. I'd offer $6,500, pointing at the brake/exhaust/wiring list and making solid sills a condition. Verdict: buy after inspection. But the inspection is everything here. Confirm the sills and floors are solid. If they are, this is a charming, cheap-to-feed project with a healthy engine and the good options, and worth around $6.5. If the shell's rotten, walk no matter how nice the seat covers are. Great little car, priced a bit ahead of its condition. Let that OBO work for you. 18. Alright, let's wrap up over in Portland with a Malaise-era Buick. And just like that Fox Mustang, the listing's own checkboxes are lying to you. Let me straighten the spec sheet first. 1981 Buick Regal Limited Coupe, $11,995. Gut reaction. For a base V6 G-body Regal, that's a bold dealer number. But this is a low-mileage survivor from a dealer, so let's see if the condition carries it. First, the corrections, because the Craigslist attributes are wrong twice over. The drop-downs say 8 cylinders and FWD, both false. The dealer's own detail block and the VIN tell the truth. It's a 3.8-liter V6, and the 81 Regal is a rear-wheel drive G-body, not front drive. GM didn't build a front-drive Regal until 1988. I even decoded the VIN 1G4AM47A5BK104338. The A in the 8th spot is the 3.8 V6. The B is the 1981 model year. So this is a rear-drive V6 coupe. And whoever filled out the listing just clicked the wrong menus. Standard dealer data entry sloppiness, not a red flag on the car itself. Now here's the interesting context. This body, the 81 Regal Coupe, is the exact platform that would become the legendary Buick Grand National and GNX a few years later. So it's got cool bloodline, but be clear-eyed. This is the Limited with the naturally aspirated 3.8 V6, the soft luxury trim, not the turbo. It's a comfortable, slow, plush Malaise-era cruiser. Think Landau roof and pillowy velour, not boost. The desirability and the value live with the turbo cars, not this one. What it does have going for it: 45,360 miles that, on a clean title dealer car are at least plausibly genuine, and a low-mile survivor of this era is genuinely uncommon because most got used up and crushed. Clean title, dealer lot, so presumably it runs and drives and has been checked over. The naturally aspirated 3.8 is also a tough, simple engine. What I'd want, since it's a dealer, no ownership or service story is given. So I'd ask for the Carfax to back up those miles, and I'd inspect for the usual G-body rust in the lower rear quarters, wheel wells, and trunk. Even a low-mile car can rot if it sat outside, and factor that a dealer price usually has a little negotiating pad built in. What's it worth? A genuinely clean, low-mile 81 Regal Limited Coupe is a niche survivor, realistically a $6,000, $9,000 car, with the low mileage pushing the top end. The Grand National adjacent looks tempt people, but a base V6 Limited isn't a GN, and the market knows it. $11,995 is turbo car optimism on a luxury trim V6. I'd offer around $8,000, Carfax in hand, leaning on the base drivetrain and the fact that it's a Limited, not a Grand National. Verdict: buy after inspection, but only at a real correction. Verify the mileage with documentation, check the lower body for rust, and drive it. As an honest, low-mile survivor cruiser around $8,000, it's a fair, fun piece of G-body history. At 12, you're paying for a turbo badge this car doesn't wear. 19. All right, let's close out with the cheapest thing on the lot. A $950 Crown Victoria in Portland's neighbor territory, and there's a punchline buried in the last line that changes everything. 1981. Ford Ltd. Crown Victoria sedan, $950. Gut reaction: $950 for an excellent, no dents, clean title full-size Ford sounds almost too good. And then you read the final sentence, and the whole thing snaps into focus. Does not include motor or transmission. That's the entire story right there, and I'll give the seller credit for saying it plainly instead of burying it. This isn't a running car. It's a rolling body and interior, a shell. Everything he lists is technically true and technically nice. Original 83,000 miles, no dents, no previous wreck, all glass good, clean title. But none of that matters for driving, because the two most expensive things that make a car move are simply gone. So who is this actually for? Two buyers, really. One, somebody who already has a 79 to 82 Panther platform car, Crown Vic, Ltd, Grand Marquis, and needs a straight, rust-free, unwrecked body, or a good parts donor, glass, trim, interior, doors, a clean title to transfer. Two, somebody planning an engine swap who wants a solid shell to build on and doesn't care that the original 302 or whatever other means here is missing anyway. For either of those, a straight body with good glass and a clean title has genuine value. For anybody wanting a car they can drive home, this is a non-starter unless you've got a drivetrain sitting in your garage, and even then you're looking at sourcing an engine, a trans, all the linkage, mounts, cooling, wiring. Realistically, a couple grand and a lot of weekends minimum on top of the purchase. What I'd verify in person, that the excellent body is actually rust-free underneath. Panther cars rot in the floors, rear frame rails, and trunk, and critically, why the motor and trans came out. Sometimes it's an abandoned project. Sometimes the drivetrain got sold off a car that otherwise had problems. And confirm the title truly matches and transfers clean, because a title is a big part of what makes a shell worth buying. What's it worth? Honestly, as a clean title, straight, rust-free body and interior donor, $950 is fair. That's parts car money, priced like parts car money. There's not much to haggle. The number's already honest for what it is. I'd maybe try $700 cash and gone, but I wouldn't be offended if he held firm. Verdict: buy only if you're a Panther builder or need the parts, otherwise pass. Go in knowing you're buying a shell, not a car. Confirm the body's genuinely rust-free and the title's clean, and at $950, it's a reasonable donor or swap starting point. Just never mistake excellent in this listing for drivable. The last line is the whole truth. 20. All right, Let's finish the run with a slammed-down piece of Americana, a 55 Ford pickup. And there's one detail in here that'll either delight you or annoy you, depending on what kind of buyer you are. 1955 Ford F-100 truck, $17,500 OBO. Gut reaction. For a nicely done, almost everything new F-100 hot rod, that's a fair to reasonable ask. These trucks are red hot right now, but there's a purist's catch buried in the description, so let's get to it. Here it is, plain as day. 350/35 O combo Chevy motor and tranny. That's a Chevy 350 small block backed by a TH 350 automatic in a Ford truck. In the hot rod world, this is so common, it has a nickname's worth of shrugs. The SBC is the cheapest, easiest, most supported swap on earth. Parts are everywhere, and it runs forever. For a driver you just want to enjoy, it's arguably the practical choice. But understand what it costs you. This is no longer a numbers-matching or even brand-correct truck, and to a Ford purist, that Chevy in a Ford is a deal-breaker. It also caps the value. A period-correct Y-block or a Ford crate motor would be worth more to the collector crowd. So this is a driver/cruiser, priced and built as one, not an investment-grade restoration. Now the good stuff, and the 55 F-100 has plenty of it. This generation, the 53 to 56 F-100 dies, is one of the most beloved, most desirable classic trucks going, with that curvy cab, big rear window, and endless aftermarket support. Almost everything is new, and like new condition, with a tasteful satin gunmetal gray paint job, tells me somebody put real money and taste into a build. A sorted, freshly done F-100 driver is a genuinely fun thing to own and easy to sell later. Here's where the shortlisting works against him though. Almost everything is new is a lovely phrase that means nothing without a list. New what? I want specifics. Is it on the original frame or a modern chassis/Mustang 2 front end? Disc brakes? New wiring? Fuel system? Suspension? Interior? A build this vague needs receipts and photos because almost everything and like new are seller adjectives until proven. The odometer at 100,000 is meaningless on a swapped hot rod. Ignore it entirely. The build date matters, not the miles. What I'd verify in person? The quality of the build, not just the shine. Who did the swap and how clean is the engine bay wiring? Does it stop and steer properly? Huge on an old truck. Check the floors and cab corners and bed for rust under that satin paint, and confirm the title matches. Satin paint can also hide bodywork, so look close. What's it worth? A well-built, running 55 F-100 driver with a reliable SBC swap is realistically a $15,000, $22,000 truck depending on build quality. Finished, tasteful ones climb higher. So $17,500 is right in the fairway, and he wrote OBO, which is an open door. I'd offer around $15,000, leaning on the non-original Chevy drivetrain and the total lack of a build sheet, and let the receipts talk me back up. Verdict: buy after inspection, as a driver, not a purist's restoration. If the build's quality checks out and it stops and steers as good as it looks, this is a fun, easy-to-own classic truck priced fairly. Just buy it for what it is, a cool Ford with a Chevy heart, and get those receipts before you hand over the cash.